Welcome friends, it's Caleigh Bird, and 2020 has been a wild one to say the least. So today I'm going to do a little figure drawing demo for you while we talk about some great resolutions to get you geared up for a wonderful 2021. I mean, hey, it's got to be better than this year, right? So if you get inspired today, please hit that thumbs up button so more folks will see it. Make sure you're subscribed, ding the notification bell, and come back every single week for all the best fine art tutorials and art biz advice. Okay, so if you've been following me for a couple of years, you might have noticed past blog posts and or YouTube videos about resolutions for artists, but this year I'm going to kind of change up the resolutions, and it's mostly because, 2020 has been crazy. We had a lot of unexpected things come our way, and we don't really know what's going to go on with 2021. So a lot of my past resolutions have kind of been more dealing with the outside art world, but this year we're going to focus on ourselves dealing internally, and all of these things are things that you can do from within your studio. That way, no matter what 2021 throws at us, like, you will still be able to feel productive, because I'm sure you've heard these words of advice, and I think they're very true, and that is hope for the best but prepare for the worst. So first and foremost, you should take a look at what you're doing already and find a new goal, a new way to improve your art practice. And art practice can mean two different things. You can mean either like your practice, like the physical time that you spend making art, like maybe you want to get into sketching every day, or maybe you want to make sure you complete a new painting like every 2 weeks or something. So it can be the actual like physical time that you spend making art, or your art practice can mean the skill set that you're using. So you could say, maybe I do draw quite often, I do make lots of paintings, but gosh, I'm not very good at drawing faces. I want to get better at that. Or I'm really terrible at landscapes, which is sort of a goal that I had last year, maybe 2 years ago, to get better at landscapes. So, finding some way to improve is going to be good, because not only is it great to challenge ourselves, but also it's a way to make sure that you don't get bored within your own art practice. Because remember, if we are spending way too much time at home these days, then there can be a tendency for you to just stay in your comfort zone and kind of do the same thing over and over and over again. And while that can be satisfying for a while, after a while, you're going to get bored and not feel challenged. So find a new way, either in the amount of time or your skill set, that you want to improve with your art practice. Now, this one I actually did bring up in years past, but it is so solid and so important. I will probably bring this up every single year, and that is spot your time wasters and delete or minimize them from your life. Notice I use the word delete because we might be talking about certain apps. Now, of course, I love me some YouTube. Hi. But, there are some times when we wind up having videos on a little bit longer than we need to. Maybe instead of posting some great new piece of artwork that we made, we are instead scrolling. I feel like social media is very often the most obvious time waster we have in our lives, but of course, social media is not all bad, and some of us need it for our work, so it's not like you can just go deleting all your social media, and not that you necessarily have to. It's not like you can't live a happy, balanced life with it, but just keep an eye, like, are you spending too much time watching videos? Are you spending too much time playing video games? Are you doing some other kind of thing in your life, like really inefficiently, that's just taking up way more time than you need it? Times I find that doing boring tasks can take, a really, really long time. Some of my business administrative kind of work can take a really, really long time unless I put myself out of my happy place, which is my studio. So I'll go literally, work in my little desk in my car, or might go take my stuff out on the back porch where I have less distractions or something like that. So any little things you can do to save yourself some time means that you have more time to make artwork. Now, one of the best things you can do with this amazing rollover we get every single year, this fresh start, is to take a big look, check in on your big picture goals, and make sure that your actions are aligned with them. Because often our big picture goals, meaning like, I want to be a career artist who shows in galleries, or I want to be a career art teacher, or I want to be a career muralist. Those are big goals. And let me tell you something, they don't happen in a year. It takes a while to have an idea of what you want your life to look at as an artist, to be able to implement it and then have that fully support you financially. Like, that takes longer than a year. But all of those steps have to be done every single year to get you to that goal. Because if you just say, oh, one day I want to do this thing, but you're never actually making the movements towards it, well, guess what? That goal's not ever going to happen. So you want to make sure that your actions are aligned with your big picture goal. Like, let's say you really want to be a professional artist who's able to make all their money just selling paintings. I have to tell you that that doesn't really happen usually. Artists usually have to have lots of irons in the fire, but just for, just for conversation's sake, let's say that's your goal, is to be an artist that makes all of their money just by selling their artwork. Well, then you better start building an audience. So that's a short-term goal. You better make sure that your website is really beautiful and up to snuff, and your website shop is really good so that you can sell artwork. That's a smaller goal. You need to make sure that you are making a name for yourself. Maybe you need to get into some publications or land some big art shows so that your name gets out there a lot faster than just one post at a time on Instagram. That's a goal. So look at your big, giant, huge dream picture and then break that down into smaller chunks that are feasible for either a month or a year or 6 months or whatever it is, and make sure that your steps in 2021 are leading towards that goal. I don't want to plug myself here, but if you need someone to actually sit down and look at your big picture goal, figure out what your steps need to be, learn a bit more about marketing, I am available for one-on-one mentoring sessions. I have really good prices going on during this pandemic because we're all spending a lot more time at home than we want and might not be making as much money financially. So you should definitely check me out if you would like to work with me one-on-one, either for one big giant session or maybe 6 weeks or whatever. But I can definitely help you get your big giant goals broken down into more bite-sized chunks. Take a look down below in the description. I'll have a link down there where you can check out a little bit more about my mentoring services. And along with this lovely rollover time starting a new year, I know I've mentioned this in videos past, but go ahead and take a look at how you're spending your time and your ROI, meaning your return on investment on that time or money spent, and see if it's really benefiting your art business. What I mean by this is cut the fat, because a lot of times, especially as newer artists, when we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to even do as an art career, it's very mysterious, especially starting out. We'll wind up starting all kinds of different projects, or we might wind up signing up for like 8 different social medias, for example. And then as we go along, we're starting to realize, like, hey, I really don't have the time to keep up with 8 different social medias. I'm really only keeping up with like 4. I have 4 social medias that look really good and 4 that I kind of neglect. And then once every 3 months, I'll go and make a post or, something like that. Like, get rid of those. Get rid of the time, even that small amount of time that you are spending on those social medias that aren't getting you anywhere. Take a hard look at your art business. Sometimes there might be little pieces of our art business that resonate less with our audience, and although it might be avenues that we enjoy creatively, it might not actually be doing us any good in the long term. Like, I used to offer custom portraits, and although I love doing them and the clients that I did have really enjoyed them, I wound up realizing that I spent about 5 times as much time trying to market and find my target audience and get my portraits in front of the right people and all this and that. It just took me way more time to effectively run that aspect of my business than the other parts of my business. And honestly, the financial return was not very great. So I made the tough decision to stop offering custom portraits as heavily as I did. And although it was a tough decision, it was the best one for my business, and everything else has improved since then. So take a look at your business and see if there's any aspects that you can just completely cut out to help you focus on the things that really are going to do you good. And last but not least, go ahead and try something new. I know that sounds cheesy, and I feel like so many artists say that, but it really can help your practice, your sanity, your inspiration, everything. You're never going to know if you like something new if you don't try something new. So pick a new subject, pick a new medium, just do something new just for the fun of it. Don't be serious, just have fun. Thank you guys so much for being here today. If you felt a bit inspired, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed, ding the notification bell, and if you are curious about how I create my figure drawings, go ahead and check out this video on the screen. I'm going to show you exactly how I capture the light. Thanks guys, see you next week!